Hello, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Gareth Smith, and I'm the CTO here at Eggplant. Today's topic is beyond functional testing, and I'm going to cover some releases where we talk about some areas that skirt around functional testing, but are equally important. The first one I'm going to talk about is performance testing, and specifically effortless performance testing. So we know performance testing is important. It is the number one reason why people don't use apps anymore on their mobile devices. It is directly related to business metrics. In retail, for example, it is directly related to revenue. So we can have sites, speed of websites directly impacting your business metrics. But performance testing is perceived as more difficult to set up and analyze than functional testing, and it's often beyond the scope of the casual business or the non-technical tester. And so what that results in is that as it's not commonly used, then when your site or app is deployed, that results in problems when it's used at scale. And obviously that has impact on both the credibility, the usability, and also the performance of the application. So what are and where are these problems? Well, functional testing is well understood. Here's a very simple, silly example. We all know that 1 and 1 is 2, and then when that doesn't add up, we can see there's a problem. There we go. Here's the issue, and we can tackle that. But setting up performance tests, there's a couple of problems with that. One is that it's conceptually more difficult in what am I actually testing, and then also it's technically difficult because I'm not simply running my 1 and 1 is 2. I need to know what I'm testing for. I need to know the definition of the test, of the journeys I want to test. How many concurrent users do I need to run? And then also, how do I provision that? How do I make sure that I can get my 1, 10, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 concurrent virtual users set up for both the systems under test as well as all the injectors? I have quite a complicated distributed system I need to now coordinate. And then I need to get the results set up. I need to analyze it. And then when I have those results, I don't simply have a tick and a cross that that test passed, that test failed. I have some numbers. So how do I know what's good and how do I deal with that? So what we've released in our Eggplant Effortless Performance Testing, we've based this on Eggplant AI. It's our graphical model-based approach to defining all the different possible test cases within your system. Very simple to use. And in here, I can define a test case, and it's highlighted here in the diagram on the left-hand side as a green flow. And I can define any number of these test cases. So this particular user journey, it could be somebody booking a vacation, it could be someone buying some shoes, whatever it may be. That's what I want to performance test, or this is one of the things I want to performance test. Then we have a simple dialogue that says, here are the journeys I'm interested in, here's how many concurrent virtual users I want to have of each, and here's how long I want to run my test for. Then I simply press go. What that will do at the back end, then we use our Eggplant cloud infrastructure. That sets up all the concurrent virtual users, all the systems under test, all the injectors, runs all the tests, gives you all real-time visualization of the responses, and then brings down all that infrastructure once the test is complete and gives you your summary view. So we'll see this in action coming up shortly. But the goal of the Eggplant performance testing, the effortless performance testing, is to make it as simple as I've described here. The other element around testing that is related to functional testing, because functional testing is all about, well, does it actually work? Well, is usability testing. So usability testing is not just does the functionality work correctly, but more about can the users actually use it? So we know functional testing, we've just spoken about performance testing. Does it continue to work at scale and under load? But if the users can't use it in the first place, it almost doesn't matter whether it is functionally correct or it works at scale. There's a nice pithy example here. If the user can't use it, it doesn't work. And there are lots of other examples as to why the usability and the user experience is important as we deliver and build our applications. So usability testing, I think, is even more difficult to comprehend for most audiences than performance testing. Because it's around how easy, it's explaining and defining how easy something is to use. And normally insights are gained through experts observing and interacting with end users in some way. And we have a spectrum here. You can see it's unmoderated, where you have experts not involved, and moderated, where it's driven by a usability expert in some way. And sometimes that's remote, or sometimes that's in person. And you can see some sliding scale of effort there, where you get an expert in person organizing various studies in either some contextual inquiry or ethnographic or whatever it would be study in order to glean some of these insights. So quite a skilled, heavyweight process to gain real insights. But it doesn't mean that we simply can't start by looking at this using all the different technologies we have at our benefit here. So we can use our existing technologies. We have OCR, AI, machine learning, image analysis, and then a set of well-defined heuristics that can give us an automated usability expert in the box. So in the same way, we looked at effortless performance testing, that's taking the difficult element of performance testing and putting that into a simple to use format. We can do the same here with usability testing. So you do not need to be a usability expert in order to interpret or set up the results of these heuristics and that leverage the different algorithms underneath to implement them. Give us a score and give us a way to look for problems in the system and overall rate the usability of the products. And so we can look at this, and there's some specific examples. You'll see some of these running in a few minutes. But we may look at some simple aspects around, is the contrast sufficient? And so the API testing may say that, yes, this number is visible on the screen. We may have testing through the eyes of the user to say, actually, yes, the number is actually rendered on the screen, but the contrast between the foreground and the background may be such that anyone without perfect eyesight or in perfect observing conditions may not be able to read that. And so that is going to have a knockdown on the score of the usability testing score. It may be that the font is too small to read for certain cohorts. So we can look at who our cohorts are from our customer experience insights view. You have a majority of users, and you can look at those users, map what you think their visual acuity would be, and then say that for most of our users, that font is going to be too small. Other examples are, does the text fit within the button? Are there enough gaps between buttons because I may click on the wrong thing? I may get a button that loads up, and I'm sure everyone on this call has experienced this, where I go to click on a button, and then just as the page or the app loads, that button just shifts by a few centimeters or a few inches on the screen, and then I've clicked on an advert or something, and that will drive you nuts. And so we can look for those elements where the interactive objects move very quickly just before I click on them. We can go down even further, and we can look at things like, do we have red font on a blue background or vice versa? And because of those two colors are opposite ends of the visible light spectrum, then the eye will try and focus on one end and then the other, and you get this little backwards and forward moving in your eye, and that delivers eye strain, and people get headaches from that sort of aspect. So we can make sure we have all these different things in there and look for these specific problems. Now, obviously, the next element from there that you'll also see is, in addition to actual usability testing from a physiological point of view, there's also an aesthetic element, an aesthetic point of view, where we can start to look at, do we have the correct logo on there? And I may have some subtly different logos as I change my logo over time. And now I've got a logo from last year, and if I see that on the screen, I want that to affect, because that's also going to affect how I want to present my technology. So we'll also see that running in a few minutes. So I'll now hand over to my colleagues, and thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chris Howard, and I lead the Eggplant Performance Development team here at Eggplant. In a moment, I'll show you how Eggplant Performance version 9 integrates with Eggplant AI and Eggplant Cloud to make performance testing extremely easy. Traditionally, performance testing has involved writing scripts that mimic the network traffic that a real browser sends to the server. This can work really well, and Eggplant Performance has this capability. However, creating working scripts in this manner requires the tester to have deep understanding of the network protocols involved. Consequently, performance testing has been viewed as a very specialized area. We wanted to find a way to make performance testing much easier. We've done this by integrating with Eggplant AI so that you can use the same model and scripts that you use in functional testing to also do performance testing. I'm now going to walk you through the process of configuring, creating and executing a performance test using Eggplant AI and Eggplant Performance 9.0. First, we must enter our credentials for Eggplant Cloud. Eggplant Cloud will host the clients that will be used to test your website. Once you have logged in, you can choose an AWS region. This is where the clients will be hosted and hence where the traffic to your website will originate from. Once you have entered your credentials, you can create a cloud-hosted SUT. This can be used to create a model and snippets to perform functional testing on your website. You can create Ubuntu and Windows SUTs. The SUTs come with Chrome, Firefox and Internet Explorer pre-installed. Once the SUT has been created, you can connect to it using Eggplant Functional. The remote desktop username and password are provided here. Eggplant Functional can be used to write scripts that navigate through your website. Here we launch Chrome, navigate to a website, and then close the browser again. Here we've created a simple model in Eggplant AI showing a few different paths through our website. We have also created 2 test cases. Each test case represents one repeatable user journey through our website. We can now create a performance test. Select one or more test cases and click Create Performance Test. Choose a name and duration for the test and then choose how many virtual users will execute each test case. Each virtual user will execute one test case continuously. You can also choose which type of SUT to use to execute each test case. When you want to run a performance test, select the test from the list and click the Open button. A new tab will open displaying some information about the test. The test plan describes how many virtual users will be executed and for how long. You will also see how many of the virtual users will execute each test case. Finally, the test data section shows the input data from the model that has been assigned to each virtual user. In this example, the search action can be passed different input data. Data from the model has been assigned to each virtual user so that each one will search for a different item. This allows us to construct more realistic performance tests. When you are happy that the test has been configured correctly, click on Start the Test. A new test definition will be created and then the infrastructure required to run the test will be created by Eggplant Cloud. Firstly, we create the Eggplant Performance Injectors. These are responsible for executing the scripts for each virtual user. Secondly, we create the SUTs that each virtual user will execute on. Thirdly, we transfer all necessary data such as scripts and data models to the injector machines. When all the necessary infrastructure has been set up, the test will start. This is the test dashboard. It displays real-time information as the performance test progresses. On the left-hand side, you can see the overall status of the test, such as when we expect the test to finish and how many virtual users are currently executing. In the main panel, you can see timing information for each of the actions in your test. The action summary table summarizes how long each action is taking. This allows you to see instantly which actions are the slowest. The action durations chart shows how the duration of each action has varied over time, so you can see instantly if the performance of your website degrades when under load. The errors table displays any errors that occurred during the execution of your scripts. An error sometimes indicates a problem with your script. That is the case here. However, if your website is struggling to cope with the load it is under, then you may see more serious problems too. Towards the end of the test, you will see that virtual users start to complete. When all the virtual users have completed, the test will stop. Note that you can stop the test at any time by pressing the stop button. When the test stops, a few things happen. Firstly, all of the SUTs are terminated. We always start every test with fresh SUTs, as this guarantees that all the SUTs are in a well-known state at the beginning of a test run. Secondly, we transfer all of the data that was collected during the test back from the cloud to the local system. When the close down process is complete, you can view the results of the test in more detail by clicking on the View Test Results button. Detailed logs are available for every virtual user in the test run. The virtual users are grouped by test case. Click on a virtual user to view its logs. The logs describe every action that the virtual user performed for the entire duration of the test. This is vital information if you have encountered errors, as you can see exactly what actions were taken prior to the error. Let's look at a virtual user that encountered an error. You can see that a screenshot is captured whenever an error occurs, so you can see exactly what went wrong. Here the error occurred because of a problem in the script. It clicked in the wrong place and launched the wrong application. If you click on the Analyze Results button, then a detailed report is generated. The report contains charts and tables showing a more detailed statistical analysis of the test run. For example, you can see detailed statistics on how long each action took to complete, such as percentile breakdowns. You can also see the rate at which actions were executed throughout the test and how many actions were in progress at one time. There is detailed error information such as when different kinds of error occurred and which actions were most likely to cause errors.
Hi everybody, this is Pamela Gillespie. I'm a Director in Product Management at Eggplant, and I'm going to show you some of our usability testing in Eggplant Functional. I'll start by telling you how the usability testing mechanism works, and then we'll get into some specific examples of the kinds of checks we do. You'll see I have a script here in front of me, and it's a regular functional test, kind of a stripped down version of what your test cases might look like. And if I want to run the usability testing on this test case, I don't need to change anything in the script. When I run it, I'm just going to choose to run it in usability mode, and all of those checks we talk about are going to be performed automatically. So you can perform this testing on any of your existing scripts. The first usability check I'm going to show you is one that Gareth talked about. It's moving targets. Those times when you're on a website and you try to click something and it moves out from under you. If I were to run this script as a regular execution, the steps would all be performed correctly and the test would pass. But when I run it in usability mode, you'll see that it reveals some annoying behavior on the target website. When I start this script, you'll see it search for curtains on the target website and then filter those results to 3 categories. I'm starting in usability mode. And those first lines execute pretty quickly. I put a pause command in the script so we don't miss the filtering behavior. Keep an eye on the lower left section where the types of curtains are shown. As a user, your expectation is that you can just go click, click, click and select the types you're looking for. But what we find here is that the list jumps around as soon as you start interacting with it. So now I'll continue the script execution, and you can see what I'm talking about. There it goes. See, with every click that list is moving. And I actually chose this demo because I saw this happen to my husband the other day when he was trying to buy a curtain from Target. Now the script has ended, and we can go back and look at the usability warnings. We see that window valence moved as we tried to click it, and curtain panels moved as we tried to click it. Again, a regular functional test isn't going to catch this kind of behavior, but it makes for a pretty terrible user experience, and it's practically free to test for it just running your functional scripts in usability mode. I also wanted to point out the green log entries, the usability tests that passed. What these entries tell us is that for each of the clicks, the website gave the user visual feedback to confirm that a click was received. And actually, desktop websites and applications are pretty good at giving visual feedback, but the big offender is mobile platforms. Say, for instance, you're working in a mobile app or on a mobile website, and you tap something, and you don't see anything change on the screen, so you're not sure if you tap the right thing. So you tap it again, and then it turns out you've performed the same action twice, or maybe produced some other error. So those were a couple of our usability checks, and now I'm going to switch gears and tell you about our forbidden text and images check. This time I'm going to be scripting against the Eggplant website. And I've got a little script here that just does some very simple navigation on the website. And as some of you might know, we've done a little rebranding over the past year. And as we go through the website, I want to make sure that none of our outdated logos are found on the website. So I've got some images here that are tagged with the name TestPlant, our former name. And as the script is executed in usability mode, I'll get a warning if any of these images are found on our website. The other part of this search is for forbidden text. So I'm going to open up my preferences here. And under the usability preferences, I'm going to enter some text. Typically this would be text you do not want to see on your website, but it's a little more interesting if we demonstrate something that is found. So I'm going to say Eggplant performance is forbidden text. And forbidden images and text is turned on. I'm going to turn off other tests because we don't really need them right now. And then we'll run this script in usability mode. And there it goes. It's going to the documentation page. And here it should find our forbidden text, Eggplant performance, and give us a warning. And there it is, and the test is done. Looking at the results of the script, we can see that we have one warning for forbidden text, and if either of those images had been found, we'd have warnings for those too. I hope you'll try running in usability mode. Remember, there's nothing to add to the script. You just select the Run in Usability Mode menu item, either in your script or up in the main menu bar, Run in Usability Mode. And to make your settings more or less sensitive, you can adjust them in the usability preferences. Thank you for coming and watching this demo. I hope you enjoy our usability testing, and I'd love to hear from you if you have additional usability concerns in your own products. Thanks again.
Thank you to our presenters today, Dr. Gareth Smith, Chris Howard, and Pamela Gillespie. And thank you to everyone who joined us. I hope you learned a thing or two about some of our new releases and our different approach to go beyond functional testing. If you have any questions, please visit us at eggplant.io to check out demonstrations, learn more about our Eggplant solutions, and try Eggplant for yourself. Thanks so much, and hope to see you at the next event.